This meeting is being recorded.
So I am excited to introduce Madison, Carrie, and Tia from Whitebox Marketing as our presenters today. Whitebox Marketing is a full-service marketing agency offering creative and strategic services for companies of all sizes and industries. Combined, their team has comprehensive experience and knowledge in marketing strategy, graphic design, copywriting, digital marketing, social media, content creation, and media placement, just to name a few. As a team, their main goal is to help you achieve your goals in the most strategic, creative, and effective way possible. So I am going to hand it over to Madison, Carrie, and Tia, and they can introduce themselves further and get started with their presentation. So thank you for being with us today.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for having us all today. We really appreciate it. So welcome. We are praying for the sunshine here a little bit. I think everybody probably is too. We hope to provide some value for you today, a little bit of scope of, we're talking about a proactive approach a little bit today and creating an internal and external strategy. So hopefully we can provide some little nuggets of information that will bring some value. And then we'll also open it up for some Q&A. So hopefully we can get this to be a little interactive as well too. But to start, I'm Carrie Karki. I am the founder and owner of Whitebox Marketing. I'll introduce to my right.
Hi there, Maddie Milne. I'm the agency manager and lead social media strategist for Whitebox as well.
And then I'm Tia Sarowi. I am with Whitebox Marketing. I'm a marketing strategist.
Thanks again for meeting with us. So thanks for the great introduction. As we kind of had said, we are a full service marketing agency. What does that mean? Really, in a nutshell, that means the right hand speaks with the left hand. I can't say enough how much that we talk with a lot of different companies that come into us and a lot of companies that come into us and we're talking a lot about like, what are your goals for your organization? How do we get there? So how does marketing work? How do we know our ROI or our value is there? It all starts very much with a proactive approach and also looking at really what our goals are today, who's our target audience, are there industry changes, is there market changes, things like that. So we'll help walk those through as we go. But a little bit, we have a full service team here. So we have a team of designers, we have a team of social media experts, Google, a lot of digital marketing as well as traditional means. So a lot of the value that we bring with our clients is that, like I said, the right hand speaks with the left. Instead of just having several companies that are doing your marketing and advertising, one for a website per se, one for social media, you need somebody for those traditional means. We really bring that value in by understanding your company, learning your audience, learning your goals, and then really honing in on like, let's make that proactive strategy approach based off of your goals and your organization, very custom to you, very much seeing a lot of ROI once we start engaging with you in that process versus a reactive approach. So a lot that we'll dive into more today. So not here to talk all about us. So we're here to talk about some good content, but obviously you got to know who you're speaking with a little bit. So here's a little bit of who we work with. So we've got a lot of long-term clients, something I'm very, very proud of. St. Cloud Orthopedics is one that we've been 18 years of partners. So very much looking at, again, the strategy, the goal alignment, and things with that. So from healthcare, you'll see some financial, down to nonprofit, and then education. We are here talking with a bunch of manufacturers today. Yes, we do have experience in manufacturing, but I wanted to give you a little bit of a plethora to show that we are very diverse in the industries that we serve, and I'm confident with that we get a lot of value, things that we learn from different industries, that at the end of the day, I really think brings a lot of value and ROI to our clients. Some feature work. So it's just some things you get an idea of, again, some of the things that we do. So just going to kind of power through these a little bit. So Hydrostat, again, a little bit more in the industrial sector of that. So they do some things from traditional and digital marketing. So giving you a little plethora of that. Metalcraft, big manufacturer, as we all know. So a lot of digital marketing, as we know, and we'll talk a little bit further about in manufacturing, and we all have in business today, is those recruitment problems. So doing some things from traditional to video development and digital applications. Other industries is construction. So we know a lot within that. There's been a lot of big changes in development just with all that what's going on with the economy today. So just showing a little bit of some sampled work also in the construction business. But I know you don't want to hear all about just white box marketing today, and I promise we will try to not just talk about ourselves as we think that a lot of marketers like to do, but we do want to give some validity to who we are and what we do so we can bring this forward to you. So manufacturing in Minnesota today, we know that in St. Cloud, it's the fastest growing labor force in Minnesota, right? There's been a lot of what we're seeing happening in industry trends right now because of, we'll get further into this, but it's of recruitment. So we're hearing a lot on the manufacturing ends of new ways to be able to try to get their messaging out, especially because we all are being, have more pressure, right? To look at how are we engaging with not only our clients and the general market, but also tying in internal communications internally. Definitely seeing a lot of industry trends, especially with the COVID thing, switching our communication sectors, not only externally, but also internally. Manufacturing represents 14.7% of all employment in Minnesota. So what we do know is that obviously this is a vital industry for us that's important to our economy and important to our state. St. Cloud's projection of the population too has projected growth of about 25%. So continuing again development, we know that this is an industry market we need to continue to grow and develop. And then also looking at more from on the other side, 60 plus businesses is also in the fabricated metal. So just a little industry trends in there, just taking some bullet points since we're talking to this audience today. Engagement. So we're here, right? We're talking about, I think our subject matter today is a proactive approach and internally and externally from an engagement plan. So a little bit of what we're talking about is, again, defining your goals. So when we engage with a client, I can't speak it to enough that having a proactive approach and having a strategy plan compiled together prior in the year, very much based on your overall goals, your operational plan for your business. A lot of times what we see is that in marketing, they say, well, we've tried this, we don't know what the ROI is. Very much we believe that laying out that approach month by month, quarter by quarter, and throughout the whole year, not only from your external plan for marketing communications, but also your internal plan. There's been a lot of change in the last 2 years with COVID, very much taking a different approach of what is our retention rates, how do we keep employees engaged and retained, and also bring value in that internally besides externally. All right. Staff and employees, a lot that we're talking about. So again, internal audiences, what we know is today we have to communicate not only to our external, but our internal staff. Again, I'm talking about that recruitment and that retention model. So we're seeing a lot of changes of things that we've been doing the last couple of years of a lot more digital communications internally besides just the external focus. So examples are internal communications, internal e-newsletters, things like that, really being a vital component to keeping connection within our organizations and also from that retention model. The other audience that we have very much so is obviously our current clients and then our prospective, as I would call that. So developing much more enriched communication strategies to keep retention as well from a client perspective. And also what we know in the last couple of years is digital marketing. We all do a lot of it. We also know that it's much more saturated today. So it's an important tool. We're all taking content that way. But what we also know is that we need to stay relevant and do content in a different way than what we used to. Specifically for manufacturing, we're seeing a lot more of video development, and we'll talk more into that as we continue, but a lot more ways of getting our content so it tells our story of what is our organization, what is our mission and values, what is it like to work for an organization, one of your organizations, and or to partner with your organization from a client perspective. So content ways of changing has indeed evolved in the way that we're doing a lot more custom approaches and a lot more getting that mission and value statements into your stories and into your marketing as we move forward. We talked about the external audience, so like the potential buyers too. So different areas that and we'll dive further into this, but again, developing that proactive strategy plan. So a lot of that alignment, instead of just having what is just the marketing plan, now dividing that into our sectors within our different audiences in that. So our internal audience, our current customer base, and then obviously what are our goals and our tools and our measurement marks that we're going to have on the prospective market for growth, right? So things that we'll dive further into. Okay, so a great way for communication strategy. So just kind of giving some benchmarks of actual things with that. So from that communications things we're seeing, we talked about internally. So literally speaking, so internal physical signage internally, we're seeing a lot more of people saying tips and communications things, saying what's happening within our organizations, because we have this recruitment and retention extra pressure on all of us. And then figuratively speaking, obviously with the digital means of talking with staff and employees, what's happening in our organizations and staying both connected traditionally and digitally on those sectors. Again, in recap, so a proactive strategy we always say is the most thing that we can say at the end of the day. ROI is much more accomplished when we have that proactive strategy approach. We have a lot of organizations that come in and say, what we need to know is we need to do this. What we really, really try to do is take a step back a little bit, ask the important questions of, okay, we think we need to do this, but what is the why behind that? And really making sure that we're aligning what we're doing, not only by timing and strategy, but that they're also working together in a proactive approach.
Okay, so one of my favorite things to talk about is visual storytelling. So the one thing I love about custom video and photography is that it dramatically increases your engagement rate. So how do you tell a story through custom video and photography? First, you have to set a goal. So like Carrie was talking about, whether that's getting awareness, generating leads, just educating customers, or building your brand advocacy. And then you want to select your target audience. So finding that industry niche and targeting that. And then finally finding or brainstorming your story. So whether that's an origin story, maybe even a failure story, winning stories, or kudos story, and we'll kind of go into some recruitment examples of what that looks like as well. And then finally, you want to select your platform. So whether that's social media, your website, or other digital platforms like podcasts, or what we're doing today.
Video and photography have been a huge thing. So we're going to make this engagement, but yeah, video and photography is that custom approach that we're talking about, doing a lot of that, especially right now. So people are not wanting to use the stock images or those things, investing into those library of tools. So you have that image library to use out in your marketing plan throughout the year. So custom photography and custom video.
Yeah, and I know we're all guilty of having to use stock imagery at one point, whether that's a time restraint or resources, but I can't tell you this enough. Stock imagery lowers your conversion rate. It lacks authenticity. So having that real imagery to pull from is always great. Also, you run the risk of someone else have used that imagery as well.
Mm-hmm.
Here's some examples of images that we have done.
Custom photography is going into a manufacturing plant here, really trying to get that engagement of not only staff and look, but also process and application. Okay. Okay, B2B mediums of marketing engagement. Go ahead, Maddie.
Yes. So one of the things that I specialize in with being our lead social media strategist is B2B mediums of marketing, especially through social media. And one of my favorite is LinkedIn targeting. And sometimes I forget, since I am so immersed into this industry and LinkedIn, is that sometimes people don't know how customized LinkedIn targeting is. So it's great for targeting a certain niche industry. You can get as targeted as people who work for a company, how many people work for a company, your status at a company. It's really great for finding that interactive audience that's going to interact with your content on a regular basis.
We should even just talk about LinkedIn as a platform in general. I think LinkedIn in general was an overlooked platform for many years. In business today, we thought about the social, we knew about the Facebooks, then we tied into Instagrams. Now, then obviously now we're talking about TikToks and all of those type of things. But on the business sector of that, especially from the B2B side, LinkedIn is indeed a very vital and real approach and platform and for social media today.
Yeah, and then even intertwining some of that video and photography content that we were talking about before. Video content is 12 times more successful than other types of content like photography or text. So it's always great to get some of that video content in there. And also video marketing is 66% more qualified leads per year. So, it's really great for getting leads or whatever your target goal is as well. And then so I'll lead into professional social media management. So one of my roles here at Whitebox is creating custom and branded content. So like we said, creating that custom video and photography along with your branded content is so important. You have tough competition out there, so it's great to have original content and position yourself as industry experts. And then finally, one thing that I can't talk about enough is website optimization. So with all of this stuff that we're doing, we're always leading back to the website. So this is the platform that everyone's seeing. It's our call to action on most of our platforms. So one of the great things that you can do is lead as industry experts through blogs and original content as well.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, recruitment, as we all know, everyone is hiring right now, so you really have to stand out from the crowd. And so we're going to go through some strategies and tactics that you can do with recruitment. And one of these is a testimonial video as well. And so a video really brings your audience into what it actually looks like in your facility. What is your manufacturing like? What's the culture? What are the opportunities there? So it really brings them in, very engaging, builds that trust. And really shows the value that you'll add to them as well. So we're just going to play a snippet of it as well, just so you can see what it looks like, and just take notice of like what kind of value they're adding in this video too, and think of things that you can do in your manufacturer, like the value that you add to your employees.
When I walk into Riverside, it's a great team atmosphere. It starts at the front with an administrative assistant, all the way to the end when the parts ship. Hi, I'm Jason Swan. I work at Riverside Machine and Engineering. 16 years ago, I decided to go back to school to become a machinist. 2 weeks before I graduated from the technical college, I had an interview at Riverside, and they hired me out.
Jack, Sean, and Trisha have a great vision for the company. Their plan is continued growth. They want to keep the company growing, and you can see that at both Riverside and Metalcraft.
The reason I got into the manufacturing industry is I see a lot of great opportunities and a lot of growth with competitive wages and a great place for me to grow. I started off as a full-time employee for Riverside, but I went to the weekend shift to accommodate for my school schedule. And Riverside has been nothing but supportive. They make it very possible to have a good job and to go to school.
It's tremendously fulfilling to know that I produce parts that keep our country and our allies safe, and we also produce parts that keep our citizens of our country and citizens of other countries healthy, and it means a lot to me that we do that.
And when I joined Metalcraft, I was teamed with someone right away, and they really helped me through, get me acclimated to the machines here, the programming processes. I think my skills as a machinist have just grown tremendously since I started here.
My strong skill sets are relationship building with our customers and understanding what their needs are. We have many different expertise within our business, both in quality, manufacturing, engineering, and we figure out how to make that part for that customer.
The part I enjoy the most about my job being a production lead is the challenge, the day-to-day challenge.
my team and I are challenged daily. Our customers depend on us to make critical deadlines on super difficult products that, there's patients that are in need for our medical devices in the field.
We really want this to be a place with open dialogue, open communication, and people feeling comfortable with that. And that's really important here at Meadowcraft. We are a growing company in the medical industry. There's a lot of opportunity here just due to our size and the type of work that we do. Careers are built here. And if you're looking to grow, let's talk.
Question: would you build a website for a major brand?
One thing I would just mention is that this was a little bit longer video. So what we're seeing is doing, getting that library of images of that video that may have that longer all-encompassing video. And then what we're doing is taking shorter segment videos, as we call them, and we're using those in social media. And Maddie, you can talk a little bit about just length of video and how we use that and where we use that and where it's optimized by timing and length.
Yeah, and a video of this length would be great for your website. But those shorter videos, anywhere from 30 seconds up to 2 minutes, are really your sweet spot on social media. Your retention rate typically goes down after about 10 seconds of the video. So you want a really engaging intro. And like I said, keep it under 2 minutes. And some platforms like Facebook and Instagram under 1 minute, and sometimes 30 seconds for platforms like TikTok, if you utilize that as well.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, so talking about social media, posting that video, having the 30 seconds to 60 seconds on there as well. But other things on social media too is posting the job posting. So LinkedIn is really great for posting jobs, as well as Indeed and other ways too. You want to make sure you're on as many job posting sites as possible, because I can guarantee your competitors are out there. So you have to really fight for that too. With social media, we talked a little bit about LinkedIn, and it's great because how far you can target as well, by title, by industry, by location, and it's more of an inexpensive way to advertise. In the olden days, you used to print those job postings, and so using social media. Putting a few dollars behind it can really bring and expand the awareness and exposure that it gets as well too.
Yeah, and just to add to that too, you see often on LinkedIn or Indeed, you'll see these generic job postings. So that's why we really advocate for doing something a little bit different for your recruitment campaign, whether that's adding video to your campaign or adding a survey too.
Yep. And then also trade shows, really big, just being in person with the person that you're talking with as well. So being able to explain a little bit of, your manufacturer, and then having marketing materials that you can leave behind as well with a call to action. So any trade show that you're at, make sure that everything is on brand. Any materials that you give, making sure your logo's on it, your colors, and the call to action as well. Something with having everything branded and cohesive is that it really brings establishment to your brand too. So if everything looks good on the outside, from looks, layout, wording, messaging, people assume that of your manufacturer. If everything's laid out or organized from an outlook perspective, they're going to assume that inside everything's organized and looks great too. So it really is how people will perceive you from the first impression as well. Another thing, when you're at a trade show, making sure to get people's contact information, and so having an email drip campaign they can sign up on a digital form, and then making those touching points. So making it easy for them, sending them the information about your job, the job opening that you have, or information on your website, so that it just comes to them, adding another touching point so that they remember you as well. And so those are some of the good things that you can do as well. Also referral marketing, who do you know? With your team as well, leadership teams or internal meetings that you have, making sure to Ask your employees to see if they know anybody to help refer as well, using e-newsletters, putting a part on that about referrals as well on social media. And we were talking about LinkedIn. So if you get, let's say you have 100 employees and they're all on LinkedIn, you post a job posting on LinkedIn, and let's say 10 of them share that to their surroundings. So all their connections will see it too. So if each of those 10 employees have 500 connections, you're getting around 5,000, potentially 5,000 people seeing your job posting. And so people who know people as well. So really getting that exposure out there and awareness with your job postings and getting referral marketing into.
Yeah, and I'll add to that a little bit with LinkedIn. So there's something called employee advocacy. So LinkedIn actually loves that. So it helps your algorithm a little bit. It helps you engage with more people. It helps them interact with your content more. So encouraging your employees to interact with your own content really helps you out on LinkedIn too.
Mm-hmm. Which ties in that internal strategy that we talked about in the beginning as well.
Yep. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then measuring your engagement. So Carrie talked a little bit about making goals and like what the end of the year goal is. So it's really important to see like where you stand, what's your benchmark, how are you currently doing on like Google Analytics, for example. Are people clicking? Are people, is it converting to a price number as well, or the call to action to ask for more information as well? To see it, so it's really important to look to see how you're doing, what's the industry average doing as well, how do you compare? And then that can also help, like, do we need to change some of our messagings, change some images, change some graphics? So it really helps you to stay on par with what you should be doing as well.
I think if I can just tie in, I think that really goes into going back to the goals too. In today's thing, we all love digital marketing because it gives us those measurement tools, right? We love seeing those stats. We love seeing, we have those measurement things that helps us with the ROI. But I am still a big advocate that, again, that strategy that we start with, we've got long-term strategy goals and we have short-term strategy goals. So it's really looking at each of those benchmarks, things like traditional things like, okay, billboards, things like that. Yeah, those are harder things to say, what's my ROI on that? Yeah, we can look at how many, cars go by per day and impressions and things like that. What we have that is, that's part of our long-term strategy. So I think it's also making sure in that strategy that we're talking about that we've got long-term benchmarks and we've got short-term benchmarks. The digital means we all love that. We've got those conversion rates, but let us not think that the things that we have to do for our long-term goals are not as equally beneficial for us, just in a different way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So these ones are more short-term goals as well. So going to e-blast and e-newsletters, analytics. So the average open rate for a newsletter that you send out is around 21 to 25%. So seeing where you are, if you're in that area or above that or below it, seeing what you can change. One of the biggest things is subject lines as well. It's like when you walk by a store and if it looks nice enough to go in from the outside, you walk in it. So making sure that your subject lines are engaging, like giving valuable information as well too. So, and also seeing like if someone clicks and reads one of your e-newsletters, do they keep reading them or was that the only one too? So making sure that you're giving valuable information out so that people want to see more of your e-newsletters too. And then social media analytics and Facebook, seeing how you're doing, making improvements with images, content, graphics as well.
Yeah, and I'll talk about this a little bit too. Facebook Pixel and other social media platforms actually have really great tools that you can use to track your website conversion. So almost all social platforms have a code that you can integrate into your website to see how people are navigating your website. So are they landing on your homepage and they're clicking off, or are they going to the About Me and then they're clicking off? So that way you can optimize your website and then kind of analyze how that's working for you.
Mm-hmm. And this is one of our case study measurements, just to show some numbers as well, because it's important to have those numbers for short-term goals as well. And so you can see for the e-news, we have 34%, which is above the average, but that's because we are looking at reporting. We are taking a deep dive in to see what we're doing well, things that we can improve on. So it did start that way, I promise, but we managed to get it up up there, just because we're continually to look through our reporting and making improvements where needed to.
I think a lot that contributes to that is, again, that custom content. So it's not just doing the content and getting it out, but does it relate? Does it provide value to who is reading that? Does it provide value to your target audience? So again, those custom approaches and making sure that not only the look and the feel and the timing is right, but also that it's really valuable content that your reader is wanting to know.
And it does kind of tie into some of these social analytics too, is having more of a proactive approach instead of a reactive approach. You want to be the one that's engaging and creating content that users want to engage with first too. So that's important too.
Yeah. Good. And then also providing opportunities for growth. So we talked a little bit about recruitment and what are you providing your employees, and also for retention as well. So we put some ideas on here too to help provide some areas where you can provide growth to your employees with career paths for just continuing education. It's leadership as well.
So some things like we mentioned some organizations locally that you can take part of that also that I know that works with. And maybe on here today, works with some manufacturing specifically. So PACE is one of a client of ours. It's a part of St. Cloud State's Center for Continuing Education. We were on a video photo shoot with them in many different manufacturing facilities in the last 2 weeks. Very good facility for organizations such as yourself if you're looking for leadership extensions, also going in for different training models. So just looking at some of those local organizations that can support each of us in our industries as well.
And then equipping employees for success and relating to sales specifically. There's a lot that goes into sales from the moment you first talk to your prospect to when they're signing a piece of paper, as for a partnership agreement. And so 2 areas I wanted to focus on for this is branding, making sure that whatever you use, whether it's a PowerPoint to go through some of your services, a sales sheet, business cards, all of that should be branded and outlined very nicely, so easy to understand too, and to show pride in your manufacturer as well too.
I was going to say, I think we always say if we could get $1 for every time we say the word consistency, I think it'd be a good day. But so indeed, cohesion is something we speak very, very, very highly of all the time.
Yes. Yeah, and having consistency as well, it creates credibility and professionalism when people are looking at your company too. The other thing I wanted to mention about sales, making sure not just the looks, the branding is good, but also the storyline. So what your salespeople are saying to prospects, what's on your website, making sure that also is consistent and strong, and that every salesperson is using consistent language too. So very important with cohesion there.
We feel like we talk a lot all the time. It's a little different. We wish we could be here with you guys in person, right? That's the fun thing. But would love to, I think, as a whole. So just to kind of wrap up lots of things that we're talking about at a very high level and kind of trying to get lots of content out to you guys today. But in a nutshell, I think that what we have found with working with not only manufacturers but different other different clients in different sectors of industries is the value that we really see in the ROI that is much more successful for you is when you really sit down and develop that proactive strategic plan, outlining your audiences for that being internal audience, being staff and internal staff and employees, current clients, and then also you have the prospective market for growth. So I think tying those in, making sure that our content and our imagery and what we're saying to them is customized and tailored to each of those audience segments, and then deriving that proactive plan so there's timing and cohesion that all plays to part together will help you have a successful ROI on your marketing. We would love questions. Yes. We would love questions and some engagement. That'd be great. To stay connected with us. So we are located in St. Cloud, and we also have a satellite office in Minneapolis. We love to move in and around, so we're happy to be connected with you too if you have additional questions after today's meeting. Thank you.
All right, so should we jump into the Q&A portion, guys? I know we had mentioned doing maybe some chat questions. Let's see if we can go to chat. I know she's gonna.
Yeah, I am not seeing questions in the chat on my end, but if anybody has any questions, feel free to jump on and ask them.
Hi, Carrie. This is Sandy Voigt with the Women's Business Alliance.
How are you? Good to see you. I could give you a hug over, right?
Thanks so much. Excellent, absolutely excellent presentation and just really rich in content. What I'm wondering is kind of how do you figure time-wise when you're talking? I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into this. To get a true marketing plan and working on your visions and that proactive approach to get something launched. I know it depends on each company, but do you have a general idea for timing for something like this?
Yeah, so we have clients, our long-term, as we call them, partnership clients. So traditionally, like the end of the year, right? At the end of the year, we're reviewing all things that we've done for the year, and every company should do that. So what are the things that we accomplished for that year? What did we do really well on? What are the things that we didn't do as well on? What are the improvements that we need to make for the next year? So we're really looking at that and then launching onto, okay, what are our goals for the next year? Are there new market segments that we're going into? Are there areas of service that we have to either expand on and or hone in on? So really kind of diving in more from an operations side. I think marketing supports operations and sales, right? So for marketing to really be successful, it's understanding what's happening on the operational side as well as what's happening on the sales side. So from a timing, to answer your question, Sandy, really, I think timing ideally is, year end, but you're looking at your results and what you need to improve on at the end of the year, and then you're making your benchmark action plan for the next year. But we've got clients that we're not starting in an ideal situation end of the year, beginning of the year. So really diving into, I think we're in Q2, right? So diving into wherever we're looking at those benchmarks, and a timing sector for us when we take on a new partnership relationship, it usually is a hone in a solid 2 weeks of looking at all past marketing things, looking at data points, and then really making a recommendation plan from that. So I know that was a very long way to answer your question. I'm sorry, but I just wanted to, depending on the situation, right, of what that looks like.
And so then my next and follow-on question, and then I'll stop talking, but what would you consider to be your ideal client? Do you,
Yeah, great questions. Really we're a partnership company. So where we best align is when it's a partnership relationship. So what that means is we're not, we talk about our clients like it's us. So really having that where we are valued by looking at from an advice standpoint. It's not an industry size thing. It's not a size of company thing. It's really more of a company that they may have an internal marketing department or they may not. They may have internal marketing solo person or they may not. Or they have nothing, so they need an external partner. We really try to partner. Well, we're an extension arm to your team. So really customizing that approach.
Great, thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Sandy. Hey, and good to see you.
You too.
Anyone else that we can answer anything or any certain maybe issues that you might have in your own businesses that you could use our knowledge for at this point?
I don't have an issue, but since we're waiting for questions, I'll put it on record of something I said before we recorded, because I know a lot of people joined us after I said it, but I just want to, I'm a consultant. I work with growing businesses, and I've used Whitebox for my website, for my cards, for, my marketing. and I bring them into my clients. So I just highly recommend them. They're an awesome team to work with. So I think it's always worth a phone call.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
I promise I didn't pay him to say that. No, truly, honestly, we're really just a team of, we work very closely together as a group. We're a very hands-on team. And that is where I think that we have a lot of long-term retention of clients. And I believe it's because we really just get to know you very well, and we're really hands-on. We're really an extension arm to your organization. Okay. Anyone else? Let's see. Anyone else? Otherwise, we thank you for your time. I appreciate it. And I hope the sunshine comes out for you guys all. Feel free to reach out to us with any additional questions, or if something pops in your mind later on. We welcome you in, and or come in for a cup of coffee.
Well, I want to say just thank you so much for being a part of our marketing series. And as I mentioned, if anyone joined later, this session was recorded today, so it will be on our association websites, and I'll be sure to send it out to everybody that registered for today's session. So thank you again, and thank you to everybody that joined us.
Yes, thank you, everyone. Thank you. Enjoy your day.